If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new songs in the description. This man Hove is not dead. JayZ is still here and he's talking about new music again. So today I wanted to break this down, see what Hove had to say about his place in hip-hop and, you know, his retirement, quote-unquote, because we have not gotten music from this dude, like an album, ever since 2017's 444, obviously. Great album. If you haven't yet listened to this amazing album, we've gotten the Carter's album with Beyonce in 2018, which I also liked very much. Everything Is Love. I thought that was a great album that showed the chemistry between the two of them quite well. But ever since then, it's only been singles. It's only been verses handed out here and there. We've gotten him for the Black Messiah soundtrack, for example. We've gotten him on like the DJ Khaled record with a Nas, great reunion there. So this has kind of been like, what he's been doing, just kind of dropping in a couple of times and delivering a verse or two and, adding to a song or another. So, but this is not like a full studio album. We're not talking about a Hove album. But, today, or like yesterday when this happened, we got him in a conversation with Kevin Hart. We're about to look at this and see what he had to say. Let's jump straight into this. So Kevin Hart has this show, Heart to Heart on the Peacock streaming service, and there was a season already. Now the second season is about to start, and this clip with JayZ was one of the teasers for this second series that is about to start. And if we're getting a full, conversation with JayZ, because JayZ interviews are rare. You don't understand. They are rare. He rarely sits down with like a news outlet and talks for an hour. And if he does, it's like wisdom and game all the way through. But apparently we're getting a conversation like this, and a YouTube channel, the Access YouTube channel, I'm not sure in what relationship they're standing to Peacock or Heart to Heart or whatever, but they posted a clip as an advertisement or as like a first teaser for this new episode for the Heart to Heart podcast, or like show, whatever you want to call that. And in there, Kevin Hart asks Hove the big question of, are you retired? Because that's what we're all asking ourselves. Is Hove ever going to come back with a new album? And he does actually have an interesting a reply to this. He says, nah, I tried retirement. I'm terrible at that. And then he talks about how he retired in 2003, for example, infamously after the Black Album, and then he came back in 2007 after that with American Gangsta. And he said, I just needed a break. I was really burnt out at that time. I was releasing an album every year. I just looked up one day and I was like, I'm tired. I'd never been on a vacation until, say, 2000 my whole life. So this is the explanation why he retired in 2003, so back then, and why he then took a hiatus and came back in 2007, which was still a surprise, and nobody believes a rapper that they're retiring ever since this happened. But then he goes on to say and talk about his connection and his relationship with hip-hop and music nowadays. He says, I don't know what happens next. I'm not actively making music or making an album or have plans to make an album, but I never want to say that I'm retired. It's a gift, and who am I to shut it off? It's open to whatever, and it may have a different form or interpretation. Maybe it's not an album. Maybe it is. I have no idea, but I'm just gonna leave it open. And another thing that is not quoted on screen right now, but that he said in the interview, if you go watch this, I recommend you go watch this like little clip that they got on there. He says that maybe this new album is not going to be like a typical, 1 hour album like JayZ albums were, we're used to it being like a full-length studio album, LP, whatever you want to call that, that medium of music. We've seen different forms of albums over the past couple of years in hip-hop. We've seen, more EPs, more shorter albums. I'm only referencing, for example, the album run in May and June and July of 2018 with Kanye, Ye, Kitsy Goes, the Teyana Taylor record, Pusha T, Daytona, so all of those, and Nas in that run as well, Nasir. So albums don't have to abide by the same rules that maybe they had to when JayZ was still making music in the early 2000s or late 1990s. So that's like maybe a shift that he can take into, in his creative process going into a next album. He said he's not sure if he's even considering making an album or wants to make an album. He said that he's not actively doing this right now. Of course, on first glance, this could, kind of throw fans off and be like, oh, he's not working an album. I thought he was going to come out with a great announcement. But I'm just happy that Hove is like given a life sign again, and at least in music, he's very well busy in other areas of his life, doing all the different business ventures that he has, making billions with that. But at least in music, we have not gotten info on anything for the longest time now. Whenever a verse or anything just drops, it just drops. There's never like a big announcement for this. But I think with a new album, it would definitely be something bigger and something more well thought out than just dropping an album. JayZ has gotten this really legendary status in hip-hop. On like almost every rapper list, he is like in the top 5, in the top 3, most of the time even top 1. And I think this is a lot of responsibility and a lot of expectations on his shoulders if he does decide to come back with the new album. Still remember, 444 was like not completely loved back when that dropped, because people had all different types of, expectation that they wanted a JayZ album to be like and be like this, and he needs to come back with this great, just classic album that is going to redefine, hip-hop history and stuff like that. Of course, JayZ has expectations like that attached to him, but that is his own, he did that to himself, but just being a dope rapper over the years. But it is true that I think a JayZ album would be way more than just a couple of singles that, we've gotten over the past 5 years ever since 444 dropped, which just turned 5. It was like a couple of weeks ago. So a JayZ album would definitely be something that people would have their ears open to, would be like, hey, we're listening to this because we know JayZ is about to give us some game, give us some advice. Also going through a lot privately that he's gone through ever since 444. Of course, in 444 was very personal, very open, very vulnerable, opening up to a lot of stuff that the public was addressing. But I consider, Hove to be a smart guy, and him to know what he's doing with this next album, and giving some young people some game with this new one. But, of course, that's still up in the air. At least we know that he's not retired. That is the main part about this, and I really love that. So once this whole episode comes out, I think I'm going to watch it, would even pay some to watch this, because this is just, a Hove interview is rare. So I'm really happy that we're getting one of those. And as I said, go check out that little clip that they posted on the Access YouTube channel about him talking about this. If he ever does decide to, announce a new album or do anything in the likes of that, I'll be sure to keep you updated, so make sure you're subscribed. But until then, we have to, cling on to this hope that we have that something is actually coming in the near future. But this is a good sign for hip-hop also, just in general, even if you're not a Hove fan. But yeah, that's the news. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think that he is actually working on an album and just saying that because, he's not, he doesn't want to take that away from like a Kevin Hart interview and just drop that right there? Do you think that he's ever going to do a new album? If he isn't working on one right now, what do you expect from this new album? Where do you see his career and do like the expectations that we have headed? So all your thoughts and theories on this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.